Hey guys, Kurt here with DIY 4x. We're going to do a video today on assembling the weld it yourself A-bomb kit. We're doing it at home here in the garage, just like you would be at your place. No fancy fixtures or anything. I'm going to show you how to weld this together, how we do it. I'm going to show you some of the tools that we use and spacers and things like that, how to set things up. So hang on with us here. We're going to go through this just step by step. First thing you want to do is measure out your skid plate. When you put these side brackets on, you want these to be on here. This edge will catch the front of that skid plate and it's going to overlap on top of the bottom, plate. So first thing you're going to want to do is mark out the inside edge of that. We set them up at about 28 1/8 inches in between the brackets. Your frame should measure 28 inches, so we'll go 28 1/8. Give you just a little bit of room to slide that on there without it being so tight, and then you can, that'll also help you allow for a little bit of warpage. You are going to have some. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this out at 28 1/8. And we'll show you how that works, and then we'll move on to the next step of getting those brackets set up on here. Okay, now that we've got that all marked out, we can actually set our brackets in place on here, and we're going to verify everything with the tape measure after we get them set on here. This is where a couple of welding magnets come in real handy. It'll help keep that bracket set on there nice and straight. So we're going to set this on here. And we're going to set it up according to our lines that we just made. And we're going to throw some magnets on there just to help us hold things. Just like so. In just a second here, I'll come around with a camera and we'll give you a shot of the inside of this here. Okay, so here's a look inside the A-bomb. We got our brackets in place. They're just held there right now by the magnets. We've already checked our square. We're nice and square this way, up and down. We're nice and square off of the front of the skid plate. And we've double checked our measurement across the two brackets from side to side. We're 28 1/8, both in the front and the back. So this is our basic setup for the bumper right here. Everything pretty much builds off of this. So you want to take your time with this step, get it all set up real nice, real square, real straight, and everything after this is pretty much gravy. So I'm going to go ahead and get some tacks on here, and then we'll be back and we'll show you the next steps. Okay, so we got our sides tacked on. I like to tack them on the top and on this back corner right here first, and then I'll throw one on the inside. Got to be careful where you tack. Some tacks will tend to pull things and move things around, so if you tack out on the edges, you'll have less trouble with that. Now we're going to move on to the next pieces. These are our cap pieces that close this off. These will also help prevent these side brackets from moving around as you're working on it. These are pretty simple. You can take a look at pictures on the website, get a pretty good idea how these go. Put these on first. Basically we're looking for about 1/8 of an inch around here to put some welding. So we're going to go ahead and tack this one on. You'll miss there. And we'll do this one. Once that one's tacked in place, then you can grab this one and set it up there. It'll just butt right up against to that edge, and you just line it up with this front edge and get that one tacked on there like so. Just like that. You can adjust this around a little bit. We're going to go right there. And a spot there. There's the the top. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll be right back with the next step. Right now we have our side brackets tacked on, and we have our top pieces tacked on. We're going to move on to the spring pocket now. These go on right here, of course. What we like to use is a spacer to hold these the right distance apart. These are designed for a 3-inch wide spring assembly. So leaf spring plus your polyurethane bushings out to 3-inch. When you come up with your own spacer for welding this together, you want to be just a little bit bigger than 3-inch. Don't crowd yourself at 3-inch. You could be, you know, 3 1/16 would be great. And it's not so difficult to put your springs in there. And basically we just put this on there like that. Go ahead and put a second one in the rearmost hole, and that will keep that outer spring pocket lined up really well with the main bracket. Just like that, and we're ready to tack that piece on. Then we'll move on to the body mount and the body mount supports. So hang on tight, be right there. I'm going to zoom in here on this a little bit, guys. I'm going to show you how we set up this body mount piece. This is the part that holds your body core support. How we set this up. This is a piece of 10 gauge steel, or roughly 1/8 of an inch. All we care is we're looking for about 1/8 of an inch. If you set that down on your table, slide this up to it. This is going to give us 1/8 of an inch overlap when we put it on the bumper. So I'm going to stick my magnet on there, and I'm going to make sure all of those are tight together. Yeah. Okay guys, another close up here. This is our body mount piece that we were just talking about a second ago. Here's that 1/8 inch overlap that we're looking for. This allows this body mount plate to sit just on top of this bracket, gives you a real nice place to throw a weld, and it sets the center of your body mount the right distance away from the frame. One thing I want you to watch out for is these parts are lefts and rights, okay? The hole here is offset to the front. It's that way by design, it's supposed to be that way. This plate will drop down into this notch on top of the bracket, okay? And all the way to the front. Just everything to the front. That's the way it's supposed to be. So take a second, look at that real closely. Make sure that's all offset to the front the way that it should be. And I'm going to scooch around here and show you that notch. So there's the extra notch is on the back side. You want to be to the front of that. Okay? That's the body mount piece. This is really the only technical part about this whole assembly. Make sure you get that right. The rest of it's very simple. We're going to go ahead and tack this on, and then we're going to move into the gusset pieces, and that will be everything tacked together at that point. So hold on, bear with me for just a sec. We'll be right back. We got our body mount piece tacked on here. Now we're on to our body mount support pieces. I want you to pay attention to those. There are two different lengths of them. You want a short and a long on both sides of the bumper. The long one goes out on the front here and catches all of these edges in one shot. And the shorter one will slip just underneath the edge of this body mount piece right there. Okay, that's where those go. Pretty straightforward. It's just a support for this body mount. We're going to go ahead and get those tacked on there. I'm going to start with this front one right here. And then we'll be back and we'll show you the next step. Almost everything tacked together. We got our main brackets onto our skid plate portion. We got our front filler pieces on here. Our suspension components and body mount supports are all on. We're not quite finished yet. You can do some welding on this at this point. I encourage you to fit it to your frame before you do any welding in case you want to make some adjustments. The last couple pieces that need to go on here yet are these right here. These go underneath your frame. Best way to do this is, at the shop what we do is we have a couple little pieces of frame that we'll put on the bracket, and then we'll put these up underneath of it, make sure we're getting them in the right place. Now everybody's got a chunk of frame lying around, so go ahead and set this up on your frame, on your truck. Get some of these bolts in here, and this piece will go on here about like so. This is to tie in the bracket to the bottom of your frame rail. Anytime you're doing a suspension piece, a bumper, whatever, you want to make sure you grab more than or at least two sides of the frame, at least two sides of the frame. Make sure you get two sides of the frame. That's what this piece does. So there'll be one of these for each side, and a little self-gusseted piece, and that goes in there just like so. Like I said, about the best way to do it is to put it on your truck, get some bolts into these holes in your frame, and then you can line this up where it goes and get that tacked, pull it off, and weld it up. And at that point, you should know pretty well everything fits the way you want it, you're good to go. Spend some time squaring things up, make sure your winch fits in there the way you want. Some guys will do some clearancing on these filler pieces. They want more access to the clutch handles or whatever it is. But like I said, take your time and square things up and check stuff out real good before you do any weld.